Dr. Kelly Casperson, how are you doing today? I can't tell you how excited I am to have you part of this Perimenopause Revolution.
Thanks for having me.
I want to get right into it. I want you to take a moment, if you can, to take me back to the moment you first realized that you might be in perimenopause. Because let's be honest, a lot of us don't necessarily know we're in it. And at the time, what were you feeling or thinking? Did this shift anything in your life? How did you feel like you were going to navigate this journey?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's journey is different, right? So for anybody to compare I just want to give everybody a heads up, don't do that. I mean, I knew a lot because of what I do and what my platform is and what I advocate for. And so I actually told my husband at some point, I'm like, I might not see it coming. If you notice X, Y, and Z with me, let me know. So let your support team know, hey, this is coming. This is a thing. My husband actually asked me this week, he's like, perimenopause is like reverse puberty, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to describe it. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, why'd you ask? And he's like, well, because he was trying to describe it to my 9-year-old. And he wanted a good way to describe it, right? So it's tell the people around you, because they might not know what perimenopause is. And for me, I mean, I have an IUD, so there's no magical period that's going to be irregular or stop for me. And again, for me, just because I'm at the front line of all the data and research on this, it makes no sense for why should I suffer first to then treat? So I'm in the camp of treating perimenopause with natural hormones, which I think, what's the 10-year projection look like? That's probably where we're going to go. That's what the experts are doing now. It makes no sense to suffer.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to fall to zero. The greatest bone loss, as you know, is the 2 years prior to your last period. How do you know when your last period is? Why not just start preventing bone loss? So, yeah, my perimenopause story is very different than the average person theirs is usually in hindsight. Mine is going in fully aware, fully on all the hormones. I've got all the people around me. And I'll notice a high estrogen, I have super tender breasts one week. And I was like, good God, am I pregnant? Am I going through puberty? You're like, okay, this is what perimenopause is, right? But even me, I'm sometimes the symptoms are vague and you're like, do I just have my kids had a cold? Do I just have a cold? So it's, when people say they don't really know what's going on, it's hard. This isn't like a bone fracture, right? It's not ones and zeros. It's subtle at best.
Yeah, I agree. Well, one of the things that I love that you said was that communication. I think the sooner that we know that this is coming down the line, that our second puberty is going to happen at some point in our late 30s to early 50s, somewhere, like you said, every woman's going to be different. Some women, they start to feel symptoms in their late 40s. Some start to feel symptoms in their 30s. But you having that conversation with your partner first. And I'm assuming that there's a lot of communication. If something's a little bit off, that there's, at least for me, I went from postpartum to perimenopause. I didn't really have much of a pit stop. I think I had a good 4 months. Good 4 months where I was I think what happened in those 4 months, I was feeling so good that I thought, okay, it's not going to happen for a while. And then it just happened. And it was a lack of low stress tolerance. It was brain fog. It was a lot of brain related symptoms. And those were very much my mom's symptoms as well. But, initially I was maybe it's my thyroid because I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I was you think about the things that you've had before heading in. You're like, okay, well, maybe it's these things. But the one thing I was really clear about was communicating, even when I wasn't exactly 100% sure, because I think so often, especially for moms or women that have a lot on their plate, it could feel like maybe a lack of sleep that day, or maybe you're getting sick, or just a subtle exacerbation of things that you may have been able to keep under control up until that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think my ADHD tendencies are getting worse. And I'm like, is this just the social media catching up to me? You kind of want to blow it off a little bit, but you're like, maybe not. At the end of the day, I'll just be done. And whereas I had more tolerance before, but part of that's you're just getting older and you're getting wiser. I shouldn't just keep pushing. You should rest when you're tired, right? So part of it's am I just getting smarter and wiser at the same time? Instead of it being this negative thing of no, hey guys, I'm done today.
Yeah.
Brush your own teeth.
How is that going? So how are those boundaries? We were talking about your kids and they're still young. And man, there's a lot of demands on us as moms, especially when we have younger kids, but even partners,
I think it's role modeling healthy adulthood boundaries. Like we have to agree we're in this very dysfunctional culture for women to do it all and to the point of exhaustion. And I'm just role modeling better boundaries now of like, hey, you know what? I'm tired. I'm not going to do this all for everybody. Everybody's got to step it up a little bit. And so to me, I'm like, that's not something to feel bad about. That's something that like, obviously our culture should probably head more that way.
Yeah, agreed. How have these boundaries showed up for you in other areas as well? So it's one thing to have like model.
I quit my job.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So I'm a urologic surgeon, and I got to the point where I was just like, there's no getting better from like seeing 27 patients a day and then 3 add-ons and then taking ER call that night and then showing up the next morning and doing it again. Like you get to the point, and again, is it part of it like your tolerance for bullshit goes down, or you're just getting wiser, or you're realizing like it's not about the hustle anymore, it's not about the dollars anymore? Like, all of this evolution in midlife is an absolute wonderful thing, and you can sink or swim with it. And I think a lot of that is mindset of like, no, I know what I'm going to put up with, and I'm going to communicate that clearly. And if people aren't okay with that, that's because they liked me the way I was. And that's not my problem. And so, yeah, to me, I was just like, what am I hustling for? Like, the hospital does not love us back.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where you're like, we're all going to die. Like, figure your shit out.
Well, yeah. I mean, so you had exactly. I mean, the average age of us women is 81 here in the US, right? Men 76. And I'm past that 80. I'm 45, about to be 46. Like maybe I've lived half my life. I don't know. I'm going to do my best to live the most high vibration, high vitality life. But there becomes a point of discernment. And if, you're running yourself ragged and you're noticing that maybe people aren't even noticing your worth, like that shifts everything. So was there a defining moment? Was there a week that you came home that you were like, you know what? I'm done. Like I have so much capacity and I want to live this life different.
Yeah. And no, it was kind of like death by 1,000 paper cuts combined with like, you get to the point where you're like, I've been saving for retirement for a while. Like, you don't have to keep hustling. So it's like, the net worth is looking better than it was in your 20s, and
maybe you're paying off those school bills.
Your student loans are paid off. Maybe you put some money in for your kids, whatever it might be. But like, you realize putting another dollar on the pile is probably not what the rest of life's going to be about. And for me, it was like, Medicare pays doctors 3 to 5% less every single year. So what other highly trained profession works harder and harder for a pay cut every year? And me really starting to disagree with the ethics of insurance companies making money off the backs of hardworking Americans, and me not wanting to even be part of that anymore. And at the same time, realizing my worth of like, oh my God, I've spent years becoming this expert. You don't get pay cuts every year, usually, in most careers.
Yeah, continuing to accumulate more knowledge, continuing to hone your craft.
Yeah, like, because that all physicians are smart. But the ones who know more than what med school is and what you took to, like, they've got more value. They just do. And because it takes nights and weekends and conferences and reading and writing books, right? And so you get to the point, and I have very supportive friends. They're like, Kelly, what are you doing? Like, why are you still doing this? And it was 11 p.m. on call in the ER, doing a urology procedure, and knowing what my worth is and fully realizing that's not what was happening here. And there were no nurses to help me. The ER is busy, right? So they called me in for help. There's nobody helping me. And I'm like, just because you're really good at what you do doesn't mean that's what you should keep doing. And I think that's the power of midlife, is this like amazing opportunity to wake up.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Well, and so many of us, and this is just a beautiful reminder that we get to do that. I want to spend a little bit of time there because you did pivot, and that's a brave thing. And, and
if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right. And so you're pivoting in a lot of ways, Kelly, into the unknown, of not knowing what it was going to look like. And so I'm curious, what did that feel like? What was the mindset that kept you in it, saying this is the right move? Because I'm sure there were days you weren't sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just have to trust that. And for anybody who doesn't know me, like, I'm not an impulsive person. Like, this is not like an impulsive thing. This is like well thought out. You just realize you're like, okay, my partner's got my back. If we fail, he's fine with that. I've got my back. I really haven't failed horribly yet. Like the odds
So
that
there
I'm
was
gonna
no
fail
evidence.
now.
Yeah, there was
There's
like
no evidence that I'm gonna fail. Right. And, I've spent years figuring out like coaching mindset and how to look at your thoughts and how to challenge your limiting beliefs. And it's like all of that work is absolutely necessary because then you can just cut down your thoughts. You're like, whose thought is that? Whose thought is that I'm going to fail? That's actually not my thought, and you can really pick apart those voices that are like, they just want to keep you safe, right? Like your brain just wants you, the brain would just like to be well fed and safe.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's actually not a fabulous life, though. That's a safe life. And nothing wrong with safe lives. Most of the world would love a safe life.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I want it to be fun. I want it to be interesting. I want it to be creative. I want to, at the end of this, know that I did everything I wanted to do. I had a conversation recently with a physician who is tragically dying of cancer and really wanted to do something before her time was up. And it was a very big, like we all have finish lines, but most of us can't see them. And she could see her finish line. And so that made me think about my finish line. And I'm like, I've done it. Like everything else is a bonus and awesome and extra. So if it's true that everything is a bonus and awesome and extra, what do you want to, like, don't do something you don't want to do, And so it's just like allowing your brain to think those thoughts and challenge limiting beliefs goes a very long way. I don't think you can encourage somebody to be like, hey, you can pivot without addressing the things that make most people not pivot.
I was curious, growing up, were there, like even you becoming a physician, a surgeon, were there beliefs? Was it always something that you knew you wanted to do? Did you find yourself following someone else's beliefs or your parents' beliefs or maybe just the, achievement?
I mean, education was always very important in my family. Books, trips to the library was always celebrated. School was always very easy and very rewarding for me. But we came from lower middle class. I didn't have any physicians in my family. And at one point, I remember this conversation. I was in the car with my mom, and I was like, maybe go med school, blah, 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 kind of like being non-committal about it. And my mom was like, you just decide to do it, and then you do it. And it was just this, again, that's coaching, right? That's thought work. It's like you just put your mind to it and just figure it out.
You decide.
Yeah, people are like, well, I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, not knowing how to do it is not a reason not to do something. Like you figure it out by deciding to do it, right? But a lot of people, I was lucky. I was lucky that conversation happened because I didn't have, a doctor being like, this is the path. So it was always like, my family was always very pro-education, very pro-doing hard things, very pro-doing things well. So that all made sense going forward. Like you just have to commit to it.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep showing up, like you have to keep showing. It's like going to the gym. It's like, yeah, you can envy people with biceps, but they just didn't quit. That's people with biceps.
It's the ultimate flex. That's the thing about muscles. Like you have to earn those.
Yeah. And you make them when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
And you make them when everybody else is resting. And then you're just like, damn.
Yeah. I had 15 minutes. Actually, I didn't fully do all my makeup because I knocked out a 20-minute superset really quickly. The morning, sometimes as a mom, the morning just kind of doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. And so I thought I was going to get up a lot earlier, but my son got up earlier. And so I had a 20-minute window and I was like, okay, I'm going to get this 20 minutes. I'm going to just get this in, make it count. I'm going to race into the shower and race out. So my hair's still wet, because I was like, this is my only 20 minutes. I'm in 5 interviews today. And at the end of that 5th interview, I have 10 minutes to get to pick up my son. Yeah. So it's tight. It's a tight line.
It's a big day.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly how my morning went. I was like, blah, blah, blah. Should I even go? I only have 20 minutes left. And you're just literally like, shut up, do the work.
Yeah, you're like,
I got a pretty killer leg workout in.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got leg presses, I got leg curls, I got some deadlifts, I got some elevated front lunges done. Like, I got some stuff done in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do in 20
minutes. And
I think that's, a lot of people debate. While you're debating, my husband's always like, I don't know. I'm like, you could have already been halfway through. I don't know. I'm not wasting time.
It's a stereotype that like things take like you have to have 40 minutes. It's like, you don't.
No, you don't. 5 minutes, 3 minutes. But one of those myths that I am always trying to dispel with women is that everyone's, there's still women who are still concerned about getting bulky. I'm like, do you know?
Yeah.
How
good
many
luck.
hours?
You know what the men say? When women say that? They're like, I wish.
Yeah. Right.
Like, the men are like, that'd be awesome if we could get bulky. Like,
Right.
even dudes don't get
Even
bulky.
men don't get bulky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, I would say that perimenopause kind of didn't come into the forefront. It's mind blowing that this has been a transition that has been an inevitability for women forever, since the dawn of time. And well, at least since we've been old enough to kind of get through menopause. And yeah, I think there was a lot of misunderstanding or misconceptions about it. Were there any myths coming into maybe even in your 30s or even in your early 40s about perimenopause that you were excited to let go of, or that was like, oh, I get to readjust what I think this is for my women, for my patients?
I mean, to me, it's a cultural attitude. Like, that's the big, that us outliving ovaries, we can deal with that. Like, we've got medications. We're so effing lucky that we have medications for this. Like, it's fantastic.
She's talking hormones, everybody.
I'm
She's talking hormones.
Talking hormones. But the cultural pervasiveness of it's over, you're less than, it's too bad, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's the big rub that I'm glad perimenopause is being talked about now. Because it's like, dude, it doesn't have to. Like, I got asked to speak out of state somewhere, and I'm like, dude, I'm a national expert in like female testosterone, sexual health, menopause, like all these big topics. And I'm like, what do you want me to talk about? And they're like, societal attitudes. And it's like, dude, we can fix all these other things. It's societal attitudes. If you continue to think that this is a bummer, that's on you at this point. Like, us living this long as a society is a gift of unprecedented value, and we piss it away with a shitty attitude.
Yeah, a shitty attitude. And, and I think a lot of women were told that it was the kind of the beginning of the end, that there was really nothing.
Why are women listening to that?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. But I think that's a lot of what
was deferring to other people's opinions and expertise as necessary in some things. I can't fix my dishwasher.
No, I don't have desire.
But in somebody else telling me what a bummer my life is and my body is, no way.
So talk to me about agency and how you really claimed it.
It's, it's stoicism really for me, is like the ancient Stoic philosophy of like amor fati is like love where you are. This is life. Today is life. And realizing like maybe people don't contemplate their own mortality, but the Stoics did. And that'll shift your attitude real quick, of like, dude, this is it. This is it. What are you going to do about it?
On your hardest days, because I have a feeling not every day is like the most amazing. I have amazing days. Another day,
I have pretty amazing days.
You do have pretty okay. So on those, if there are some hard days, like let's just. The things are just kind of like, you're like, it's not how I thought it was going to be, or just maybe I'm not feeling the way it was going to be. How do you recenter yourself?
Well, I mean, even that's Stoic philosophy. Yeah. You're arguing with reality. This is how it is. This is how it is. You wishing it was that's Buddhist philosophy too, right? You wishing it was some other way creates your own suffering. So yeah, I mean, philosophy is awesome because it helps you with all of these things. And truly, truly a bad day. I'm tired. I need to eat. Let's eat. Let's go to bed. Tomorrow will be better.
Yeah.
And I tell my daughters that too. Like, kids get when they're tired, they're tired. And I'm like,
ooh, when they're tired, goodness. And no, they're not tired as far as they're concerned.
Yeah. They'll tell you they're not tired, but you don't believe it.
I'm not tired.
Exactly. Let's go to bed. Tomorrow's going to be better because you'll be rested.
That's probably one of my favorite pieces of advice that I've ever given friends or even myself when I'm having a shit day, because I have chronic migraines. And I have one today. My eye keeps twitching. And I hope you're not catching that. And so I took medicine, like I got in front of it, and yet I'm a little scrambly. And I'm also so freaking excited to be having this conversation with you. I'm just like, I'm telling my brain, just bypass whatever's happening in there. But there are days where I'm like, oh, man, this is, whew. And I recalibrate, I reset. But the thing I always tell myself is that tomorrow is another day. Like, never quit on the shit day.
Yeah, that's such good advice.
Yeah. Never quit on the shit day.
Yeah.
I want to pivot. I want to ask one of the things, I want to talk a little bit about symptoms that nobody really talks about in the medical journals. And, kind of what has been, especially in the work that you've been doing, what are the things that come up for women that you didn't feel like were addressed, but anecdotally they were happening? And that, I think especially in the world of urology and also sexual dysfunction or, a lack of intimacy and libido, how has that played out in terms of the shame that women experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what happens in perimenopause and menopause because of declining hormones is a change in sexual function. And a big stereotype is that, like, well, women didn't really get, it's a truth that turns into a stereotype. The truth being women didn't really get a good sexual education to begin with, so you don't really know what you're doing. So, like, that's the problem, and it's just an education problem instead of it being like an actual hormonal problem. And I'll see this a lot, like, a woman's like, how's orgasms or desire, or pick a subset of sexual function, and they'll say like, now it's like takes forever to orgasm now, and I'm like, oh, some people describe that as like it's hard to get over the top of the mountain, like you're like, and they're like, yeah. And then the question is, how did orgasms used to be? Right? Because it's one thing to have a woman have trouble with orgasms, but like she always had trouble, or it was never prioritized, or blah, 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 versus a woman who's like, oh my God, I love orgasms, right? I talked to a woman recently and she's like, all I have left are my memories. This, of like, they were great.
They were great.
And so like the big stereotype is like that she just doesn't know how because of the truth that we get crappy sex ed. But it's like, no. There's a lot of happily sexually active people who have changes in perimenopause and menopause. That's way more likely in my book to be a hormonal issue, because it's like we need blood flow to have an orgasm, just like penises need blood flow to be aroused. And when those hormones go down, don't just assume she doesn't know how to have great sex.
Yeah, I really do appreciate you mentioning that. I know this is a big area of your focus. I think a lot of women just think it disappeared. I remember it was definitely harder. Desire had disappeared. I felt like I kind of never recovered from postpartum. And I brought in testosterone and I was like, oh, yeah, well, hello there.
Effing game changer. Seriously.
But it wasn't the top of my list. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't my biggest priority. Exercise recovery was my priority. Muscle building was my priority with it. And not that I had ever lost confidence and motivation, although I see a lot of women in perimenopause that they're just like, it just feels flat. It feels flat. It never used to feel flat.
The big thing about testosterone, going back to like your original question, that it's such a soft thing in medicine when women say, I just don't feel like myself. You can't measure it. You can't x-ray it. You can't validate that. And it's so blown off. And my argument is you feeling like yourself is probably one of the most important things.
Agreed.
In medicine to help a person with. And testosterone, I see that a lot with testosterone. People will be like, I just feel more like myself. And you're like, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Thank goodness. Yeah.
You're never going to get an FDA-approved testosterone product for feeling like yourself.
No, never.
Right?
It's never going to be
That's never going to happen.
No.
So that's the problem with testosterone, is that it's so full body in how it works that to get it FDA approved for any one thing is so limiting. Right. But that's how the FDA works. You're not going to be like, this is FDA approved for humans.
Right. Exactly. So, just for being human.
Yeah. So whether it's FDA approved for low libido, hypoactive sexual desire disorder, the other thing it might get approved for is hypogonadism. But Europe had a female testosterone patch for surgical menopause.
Yep.
Ended up taking it off the market because nobody knew about it. And truthfully, surgical menopause is, although a big problem that needs to be treated, was undertreated, and then everybody else can't get the testosterone. So it's like any FDA approved indication is going to be like, most people are going to want it off label, because not feeling like myself is going to be off label.
Yeah. Well, I think about,
that was my testosterone rant.
I love it. I love the rant. Well, I'm mind blown that I think it's what makes me the most mad, is that we keep thinking that these hormones aren't whole body regulators in the body. Like testosterone only has one job, or progesterone just protects the uterus.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Estrogen's just for hot flashes.
Yeah. Not your sweats. Not for the brain or the bones or heart or any of it. Muscle, insulin sensitivity.
I know. So my other slight rant is when people go off about women wanting to use estrogen on their face for skin, like that doesn't matter or that it's superfluous. And I'm like, dude, people get facelifts. People get $10,000 anesthesia, surgery, facelifts, and everybody's like, oh yeah, the pressure of staying young, I get that. And I'm like, but you flip your lid over estriol cream for the face? It's like, it's really this double standard of women and what you're allowed to do for beauty and what you're not allowed to do for beauty, and like, that's all bullshit.
Yeah, agreed. I super agree with you.
So somebody yesterday is like, where do you put the estrogen cream? Just like here on your eyes? And I'm like, no.
Everywhere.
I'll put it here.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. All the things. Anything. Can you look at this spot? It's got estrogen cream on it. She's like, your skin's amazing. And I'm like, uh-huh. Collagen.
No doubt. Absolutely. I was curious, in these conversations you're having, and I think we've really covered this, but I want to just go back to what would be one piece of advice about perimenopause that you wish doctors were saying to their patients?
That it's real.
That's real. Yeah.
I mean, everybody, I'm stereotyping. The common belief is that nothing's wrong until your periods stop. Yeah. And then usually it's too late to start hormones. It's like, then those women will be told it's too old. Like literally a woman like 2 years postmenopause is told like it's too late to start hormones because she's 2 years postmenopause. And like, so you're too young before the period and then you're too old right after the periods. And I'm like, there's nothing magical about a period. Nothing is magical about a period. It tells you nothing about, can you take hormones for symptom relief?
Well, and the other pervasive myth that I can't stand, one, that perimenopause isn't perimenopause until you're in late perimenopause, until you're like skipping.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid. Well, that's going back to periods being the boss. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not real until the periods are goofy. Mm-hmm. I mean, 1/3 of women don't have periods.
Right. I was going to say, there's no way of even knowing. It's just symptom driven at that point.
Yeah.
So that's it. I know the CDC has perimenopause at 47. So then you're too young until you're skipping periods, or you just be lucky you have them. I hear that. Be lucky you still have a period.
Jesus.
I heard that the other day from a patient. I was like, what? Like, yeah, I should be lucky. And then, yeah, you're not allowed to be. I mean, there's still so many doctors who don't feel like you should be on hormones until you've been at a very low, until you don't have a period anymore. And I don't know why we still have this defining moment where it's just one freaking continuum.
It's really weird, right? Yeah. But I think it's easier to understand when you understand medicine. Like, we've got blood pressure cutoffs, we've got lipid cutoffs, we've got A1C cutoffs. Like, we really do make it black and white for like the widgets and the coding and the billing and all this stuff. And it's like, but that's not actually how humans work, right? That's the system we created, but that's not how you're telling me that somebody who has a blood pressure of like 122/80, like versus 128/, like ugh, everybody's an individual.
Yeah.
And once you look at it like that, of like, is that actually physiologic to make sense? Like, we're not ones and zeros.
No, well, it's not black and white. But
the other thing is like, hormones are so stinking safe. What's a more safe medication?
I'm like, give it a try.
What's more safe?
No, nothing. I mean, it's what we make.
Birth control is not more safe. Birth control is more dangerous.
Yeah.
SSRIs are more dangerous.
Yeah, I know. And I would say women, like, try it out. See what happens. Work with somebody who's willing to work with you. And if you don't love it, in 90 days, you're going to love it. But let's just say you don't. I
mean, I tell my patients is like, I'm here. Like, I know enough that it's my job to let you not do anything unsafe.
I love that.
Short of that, we're going to dabble and we're going to adjust doses and we're going to try things until you're happy with what you're doing. I'm the safety net, right? I'm not going to let you do anything unsafe.
Well, that's what I love so much about you as a practitioner is you're really in it with them. You're really on the journey with them. You're really walking them through it.
Yeah, I mean, medicine is set up for like one yearly well woman visit, and it's like, that's not how you adjust hormones. Mm-mm. And so in me creating my membership is like, this takes a back and a forth and a trying, and can you get it cheaper at this pharmacy? And what if we do this to cover this? And I think I'm ready to go up on doses now because it's been this, I think another big thing about hormones is people go too fast, too quickly. And you only have to do that when like your time with the doctor is limited, or like, let's get this right. So it's like, go slow, go up. I have people, it's like they've been on testosterone for like a couple of years before they go up on the dose. It's like, you're not going to see crazy side effects that way. But
yeah, no, I agree. There's no reason to go. I mean, testosterone in particular, I feel like it is the wild, wild west out there.
It's nuts. And all the systemic testosterone on the labia that's happening, like that's literally, nobody knows where that's coming from. Like, is that coming from the compounding pharmacists? Are they leading? The charge? Because it's not coming from Ishwish. It's not coming from the Menopause Society. It's not coming from the Endocrinology Society. Like, systemic testosterone to the labia as the place it has to be applied systemically makes no sense to me.
I know. Well, we're about 10 years out before we get all this situated, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably 3 to 4 years from an FDA-approved testosterone product. And when that happens, the conversation's going to explode. Like, explode. So it's fun. It's fun to be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I've been talking about it for a while. Like, but the craziness that an FDA approval is validating is a little insane, but that's the way American medicine works. And that's what insurance coverage follows. And until that changes, that's what it's going to take to get this validated, I think. Because right now it is the Wild West. People are putting concoctions on their vulva every day, and that's not rooted in anything.
And all the things like,
yeah.
I want to know, I know a lot of women are coming into this journey a bit scared, a bit afraid. I'm sure you have your patients who are feeling like disconnected, disoriented, and maybe even just feeling destabilized. What is the best piece of advice you're giving them when they're walking in the door, or that you are sharing with your community on the podcast?
Education and support. So it's like, read books that are legitimate. Follow people on Instagram that are legitimate. And people are like, we don't know. And I'm like, if you're on there long enough, you'll start to see who the players are. And same with the books and same with the support. And it's like, as a society, women have been taught to defer knowledge to other people. And that hurts us in perimenopause because we start to not believe ourselves. We start to not believe our symptoms. We start to think the answers are outside of us. And it's really a time to be like, no, you know your body. You know that you've been eating this exact same thing and working out the exact same way, and now you got a belly, right? And I saw an influencer on Instagram today who is like literally hounding in the like, calories in, calories out. Like, I don't believe you. That's not how it works. And I'm like, welcome to perimenopause. Like, insulin resistance is a thing. Metabolism is a thing. Weight gain, your body's trying to make hormones. It wants to do that via the fat pathway when the ovary pathway doesn't work. Like, for me to see somebody who's not a physician and doesn't treat patients tell women that what they're experiencing in midlife isn't the laws of physics, I'm like, girlfriend, you wait till this is you.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing.
Change your effing tune.
Yeah, you wait till you're in the lived experience. There's a lot of people that argue that women's metabolic health doesn't shift in perimenopause as their hormones shift. And I'm like, then how do we have so many women who are pre-diabetic now? How do we have so many women who are putting on belly fat and they weren't doing that 3 years ago? Like,
because we believe they're just not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
As long as we keep dismissing what's happening as a psychologic behavioral problem and not actually medicine that we have not fully investigated, we'll dismiss it.
That's a narrative I want to speak into really quickly, because that is the narrative I want changed so much. And I don't know, do you think we'll ever get past the narrative that women are making it up, or that they're constant complainers, or that they are not trying hard enough? I feel like the easy path is to always blame us.
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, women need to see the ocean they're swimming in and say no. Then they can't see that if you aren't educated in that. The book, It's All in Her Head by Dr. Elizabeth Komen, highly recommend it. Highly recommend that book. Because that's basically the culture of medicine in dismissing women. It's like all of our culture of medicine. And the females in medicine were trained in that culture. But our generation is realizing, hold on, right? So I think it is changing. I think women are, but you have to see the fish doesn't know it's swimming in water. And so, you have to see the water, and then you can be like, this is not in my head. And even if it is in my head, I still need help. It still is, I still don't feel like myself. Because when people are like, the brain fog, it's in your head. I'm like, no, literally, it's in your head. That's where the neurons are. Like,
yeah, that's where your brain,
it's still valid.
Energy metabolism is shifting. That's where gray matter and white matter are declining. That's where we see inflammation happening, right? It's all, there's major changes in the brain happening. I love Dr. Mosconi's work.
Oh my God, groundbreaking. Like she debunked the myth that the brain adjusts to low hormones by showing that the brain actually is upregulating estrogen receptors to try to get every little eke of estrogen that it can.
I mean, can you imagine the brain being the boss, and you've got your chief CEO coming on in estrogen, and you expect estrogen to come in every day, 8 o'clock in the morning, show up for work the whole day, but then all of a sudden doesn't show up till 5 p.m. Then it shows up 2 days in a row, 24 hours. And then it doesn't show up for 4 days. It's just the brain's like, what? What is going on?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Like, I want women to understand that's the level of change and recalibration your brain is going through in this journey. And for every one of us, it's going to feel so unique, but it's there.
Yeah, I mean, the other insane thing is like we have data that men with low testosterone have higher risk of depression and Alzheimer's. Well established in men. So number one, why aren't we screening men at age 45? Why aren't we trying to find these 20% of men with low testosterone if we know it's associated with dementia and depression? So there's that in the men with plenty of data. They're like, same thing in women. Same thing. Depression helps, or testosterone helps depression. We're just starting to learn that. We just got another paper published last week, like this past month from Newsom and Glynn's clinic showing that. We know that brains that have higher testosterone in them have less risk of dementia. And so it's like dementia, second to breast cancer, what's more feared? I would argue dementia.
Cognitive decline. And yet 67% of dementia patients are us.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, people are, we don't have a long-term placebo control. And I'm like, hold your breath, man. Like you'll turn blue before it happens. Women's Health Initiative was $1 billion study, right? Like it's not going to happen. But like the basic science researchers have to be rolling over on themselves right now because they're like, we've shown testosterone helps glial cells. We've shown that it helps myelin sheaths. We've shown that it's helped nerve mitochondria. Like we have all the basic science. And dementia, 2026, dementia is the #1 killer of Australians starting next year. And I'm like, there's no cure. The treatment we have is shitty, expensive, and huge side effects.
Yeah, I was going to say the side effects are horrific.
Oh, yeah. Brain hemorrhage, brain edema for, the privilege of $32,000 a year. So to me, I'm like, that whole paradigm of like, we have so much evidence, but we're not even doing it because we think we need this 20-year randomized placebo-controlled trial is like, that's insane to me.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I know we've touched upon this before and I've seen you touch upon it in other conversations and on Instagram. And I know it's this, it's like we see it. We have anecdotal experiences in clinical practice that women are feeling more alive. Their brain is firing better. They have less depression. They are more focused, have more clarity, have more confidence and motivation. That's getting them out the door and getting them to the gym. And yet I feel like we can't kind of talk about it. We can't kind of say it's doing that.
I know. It's crazy. Well, because the big, and even some big names will say this with testosterone, they'll say it's just placebo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, really? What's the placebo effect of SSRIs? Upwards of 70%. There's a placebo effect to statins. You take placebo statin and your cholesterol goes down. What's the placebo with estrogen for hot flashes? 50%.
I was going to say I was going to say around 50%.
Right? Mm-hmm. What's the placebo for sleep studies? 40%. So for people to say to dismiss testosterone because there might be a placebo effect is a pointless argument. It's like, what's the placebo effect for Viagra? You give a man a sugar pill, he gets an erection 40% of the time. Does that mean we dismiss Viagra because there's a placebo effect? So like, it's so infuriating to see these arguments and to be able to cut them down so quickly and to be like, oh my God, we're never making it anywhere. But I mean, personally, I've heard from 8 women now so I know that it's more. This is just like people have reached out to me that have started businesses since starting testosterone.
I just love that.
That's like I don't care if it's fucking placebo. You started a goddamn business.
Well, and I think that's the full circle of this conversation and it's kind of been throughout this conversation is women feeling like themselves again. When we know women are suffering, it affects our families, it affects our communities, it affects the world. What is it, 26 billion in lost productivity and absenteeism in perimenopause and early menopause because women's brains are they don't feel like themselves. They feel like their brain is on the fritz. And for that, they just don't feel like they can do their job or they're having to miss work. Whatever the reason, it's a huge crisis on our economy.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, Europe, the UK is ahead of us for several reasons, but they
were definitely ahead of us.
Yeah, they don't have enough workers, so they're really motivated to keep people in the workforce. They want the tax base, and they've got a unified healthcare system. So it's easier to move the needle on being like, hormone replacement therapy is now, 13 pounds a year, 20 pounds a year. That's estrogen, progesterone. That's not testosterone. But like they've lowered the barrier to entry because they're like, we got to keep these women working.
Yeah. Well, even still, though, I was talking to Dr. Newsom on the show recently, and I think they're at 13% women on HRT. Which
More than America.
Yeah, definitely. It's twice as much.
We can't.
It's hard to tell. Like, I'm guessing it's going up.
We use tons of compounding.
Yeah.
So it's hard to measure. But prescription, the UK's higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everything testosterone's off label. So it's very hard to measure that. But the people I've talked to who are trying to measure it, both in the UK and in America, currently, women are on testosterone as much as men are. Whoa. And that's without an FDA-approved product.
That is true.
But it makes sense. 100% of women have low testosterone after a certain age.
Yeah, after a certain age. I mean,
I would say 96%. But there are some people who are high androgen producers. And about 20% of men are. And they have 20 products.
Yeah. I want to shift gears just for a second. I want to talk about your book in just a second, but I want to talk about your perimenopause superpower, the strength or the insight that you've gained that you never would have discovered otherwise. Like, what has this beautiful midlife journey brought? Like, what are the wins that it's brought for you?
Oh, getting to know yourself. I think we don't get taught how important that is and like how super fun it is of like, what are your recurrent patterns? Why are they your recurrent patterns? What do you really like? What do you like that other people don't like? What do you like in other people? You know, like all of this personal growth stuff is super fun. You know, I think the big aha for me was like seeing how long you actually spend with people. Like you'll spend this much of your life with a spouse. You'll spend this much, 20 years at best with your kids. This, friendships last on average, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're with you the whole time.
Yeah, you're with you the whole time.
You can make that miserable or you can make that awesome. And that's, again, it's going back to mindset. Of like, do the hard work of understanding thoughts, of understanding yourself, and that will pay you back in spades.
I never know what these conversations are going to bring to the table. And, Kelly, I get to hear you interview in a lot of different ways. I get to hear you answering questions and really owning your stance, owning your position, which I think is so empowering and incredible. But you never know behind the scenes that you're like, man, it was a lot of personal development. It was a lot of mindset.
Oh, God.
Yes. And that's, I think, one of my favorite discoveries about this conversation was really diving into that aspect of who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To me, I got into coaching because of sex, actually, because, a woman changed my life in the clinic and I started going down the road of female sexuality and what does the science say and what do we know about orgasm and genital urinary syndrome, menopause. And it was just like, I can make your pelvis perfect. But if you're not thinking about sex in a positive, healthy growth mindset sort of way, it doesn't matter if you have a perfect pelvis. You're going to have shitty sex. And so that's where like the coaching came in of like, how do you change people's beliefs about things? And so that's how I got into coaching. Cause I'm like, if you think sex is dirty, bad, that there's, that you're not curious, you don't have a growth mindset, like all these things, right? Of like, what do people with great sex lives have that people with bad sex lives don't have? Their mindset. So that's how I got into it. And I was like, what's this magic? And how do I do that?
I love that. I love that. You have a book coming out right now. And I'd love to hear the through line of what you were most excited for women to take away. So number one. And then number two, is there a section of the book that is just so delightful to you? I know you just read it for the audiobook. So it's fresh in your mind, girl. You just read that thing. I don't have to do that for another month, but
well, your 5-hour podcasting today is very good cross-training. An audiobook, exactly. So you're going to be fine. So my book's called The Menopause Moment, Mindset, Hormones, and Science for Optimal Longevity. And I think that the Menopause 101 books have been written. I think my friends have done an awesome job at that. I don't need to rehash, ask your doctor if hormones are right for you. Like, I don't need to rehash that. I'm here to have a very pro-hormone. I'm like, this is a pro-hormone book.
You're like, we've already decided here.
Yeah.
You came here because you decided.
The conversation on is this safe or not is done. We now need to realize why these things are so incredibly powerful and good. It goes back to like women between the ages of 50 and 60 who are on hormones live 2 to 3 years longer than people who aren't on them, and mostly healthier. Because of heart disease.
Healthier, yeah.
Yeah. And so, if like starting in the third decade, heart disease kills more women than breast cancer.
Yep.
So it's a very pro. No, nobody talks about
Okay.
it. So it's a very pro-hormone book of, I got your back. This is why they're amazing. Like, the conversation can't stop at, are they safe? That's not where the conversation stops. That's where the conversation actually gets to start.
Yeah, agreed. And I know that you talk about alcohol in that book.
Yep.
I know that obviously a big part. I think when I was seeing, I got to see, I'm super excited for a copy, and I'm going to listen to it on Audible because my life is full and Audible is my best friend. But it's a yes and. Get both, please. I know your lives are full. You have to have the real book.
The hardback is very pretty for anybody who likes books. It's a very beautiful book. It's got blue sparkly writing on the spine, and it's a yellow book, and then it's embossed on the
It pops.
Oh, God. For anybody who actually is a bibliophile, it's a beautiful book.
Yeah, and so...
but you get my voice on the audio.
It feels like you. I mean, it very much pops. And so I love that. But in all those little nuances, like what was the resounding yes that you were so excited to share? Besides, this is what hormones can bring to the table. This is how life can be. Was it the mindset piece? Was that really navigating the lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think the stereotype that when I see people stereotype me and when I see people stereotype, my friends who are advocates, they're like, you just want everybody to be on hormones. And I'm like, no, I want people to have education about hormones and then make a decision based upon education. That's my stance. So to me, I'm like, that's what the book is like, this is your education. If you want to be on them afterwards, like, I don't know how I didn't convince you, but you're educated. But the other part of it is like, it can't just be a book about hormones because hormones are amazing, but they're not everything. And if you don't have your mindset right and you're drinking alcohol and you don't sleep and you're spending thousands of dollars on bullshit supplements that you're hoping are going to help, like, that's not optimized. And so it can't just be hormones. But I don't think a women's longevity culture can exist without hormones.
I agree with you.
And if anybody says it can, they don't understand physiology. Plain and simple.
Well, they're just not.
You can't castrate a man and tell me he's going to have the same quality of life. It can't be done. The truth is the same with women.
Well, we wouldn't even have that conversation.
We wouldn't have that conversation.
We would never have that conversation. That conversation doesn't get to exist.
I mean, it's a very fair point for me to be like, I just want a castrated man to decide if hormones are right for him or not. Like, I would not even ever be saying that. Right? But if I say that towards a woman, they're like, well, she's really aggressive. She wants everybody to be on hormones, and so it's like, you still do have to buffer the conversation a little bit. But you're right. We're not like, a castrated man should have a choice. We're like, dude, get on the hormones.
Yeah, exactly. I hear that. Callie, honey, it's such a pleasure. Where would you love us to find you? Where can we, obviously the book, go to Amazon, go to Audible.
Buy the book. It helps me out greatly to care that people are reading. Let's see. You Are Not Broken is my podcast. We love that. That podcast is growing like gangbusters, all because of word of mouth. So that is a wonderful thing. And then I like to hang out on Instagram at Kelly Casperson MD.
Awesome. Thank you, hon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you are ready to learn more about perimenopause and how to navigate with a lot of ease and grace, be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you can join our community. Don't forget to share this video with someone that you love, that you know is navigating the perimenopause journey as well, because they deserve to feel their best too. See you in the next video.